Hi, today we are going to talk a little bit about Desmos and how to create an account. Before we create an account, we need to log into our Gmail account. So I'm going to use a fake student account. So you log into your Gmail account. Now you can't just log into any Gmail account. You want to use your school Gmail account. I know that this says just Gmail, but you're going to use your school Gmail account and you're going to log into your school Gmail account. So once you have logged in to your school Gmail account, what you are going to do is you're going to go to the website. So the website is called Desmos, DESMOS.com /calculator. Calculator. And you're going to go to that site. So once you're on that site, you see it looks like a calculator. It looks like a graphing calculator. That's what it looks like. So when you look at this, you see the like graph paper-like thing. You see the little tool up here. You see the plus or minus, little boxes and stuff. But you see this green create an account. This is really important because you can use all the tools on this whole thing. But if you don't create an account, you can't save anything and you can't really turn anything in. So we're going to create an account really quick. So we're going to click on this green box. So it's really easy because we're going to sign on with our Google account. So we just signed in with our email, so we're going to sign in with our Google account. So now we are signed in and you can see our name. Now my name is fake right here. Your name should actually appear right here next to this little arrow. Okay? This lets you know that you're signed in. So if you're ever like, I wonder if I'm signed in, you're going to look right there. If your name's there, you're signed in. If your name's not there, you're not signed in. Okay, so we're going to learn how to graph on this. So the first thing we're going to learn is just a basic point. So our point that we're going to start with is 4, 8. So we're going to use parenthesis 4, comma 8. Okay, so we're going to use parenthesis 4, comma 8. So we're going to put that in this little blue box over here. So when we put that in the blue box over here, we're going to end that parenthesis so that it knows what to do, and we're going to push return. When we push return, we can look over on our graph. We won't see anything. Well, that's because 4, 8 does not fall in this window. And there's a couple ways to change this window. So what we can do is we can just move it like that. Or we can look at these tools in the corner over here. So these tools right here, this tool we can just change it by when we click on it, and I'm going to actually push projector mode. It makes things a little bit brighter. So when I look at projector mode, when we're looking at this is your x-axis. This tells you from left to right where we are. Well, our x value is 4, so this x value does fall in here. Our y value is 8. Our y value does not fall between -6 and 7.269. So we're going to go ahead and change that. So we're going to go ahead and change this. And I'm going to just put -10 to 10. We don't need that much room, but we're going to do it anyways. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to click out of that box, and you can see your point is right there at 4, 8. And it's red. And the interesting thing about it being red is that you can see that the dot right next to it is red. So that's pretty interesting, actually. I'm gonna, let's see. Oops, sorry. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so I can have it on my full screen almost. So you guys can see everything. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try a couple more points. So I want you to try another point, but I want you to pick a point that's still not in your window. So it's still not in here. So I'm going to pick the point -2, 15. Okay, so -2, 15. I know my point's supposed to be blue because of the color right here, but at -2, 15, it's not in my window. Instead of using this tool right here, what I'm going to use is this plus or minus. When you hover over them, you can see that this is zoom in and zoom out. When I push the plus, I get closer and closer. That is not going to help me out. When I push the minus, I'm going to get farther away, and you can see my window opens up, and now the blue dot appears. So go ahead and do the same thing with one more point. Okay, do the same thing with one more point. Give yourself one more point, and you can make it whatever point you want, but I want you to make it off the grid. So in this case, I'm going to make this one 17, 2. So, sorry, my point is on my grid, so I'm going to make it 23, 2. Okay, sorry. So there's my point. I don't see it on the grid. So far I've used this tool. I've used the plus or minus. Now I'm just going to use the grab tool. So I'm going to click down and hold it and just move it over. I'm just moving it over and pulling that graph over, and I can see now all 3 of my points. So that's just 3 different ways to change the window of your graph. Okay, by moving it, by using the plus or minus, or by actually going in and physically changing the numbers on the X and Y axis. Okay. All right, so we've just done points. I think you're pretty good at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to erase our points. So the way I'm going to erase my points is I'm going to push the X and get rid of them. That's my favorite way to do it. So let's see. So now what we're going to do is, you see this little home button? That's your default zoom. That just makes you go back to where you were at the very beginning. So if I go back to where I was at the beginning, I have my home screen. So that's pretty nice too. So if I had zoomed out crazy, I can zoom right back into the center, as easy as that. So we're going to start with a function now. The function that I'm going to choose is going to be y equals, so we're going to type y equals. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen, and I'm going to pull this down a little bit. There you go. You can see that there's like a little keyboard down here. I'm going to type in x cubed. So I'm going to type the x, but then you can see how this is x squared and this is a squared, and this is a to the b. I'm going to push a to the b, and that's going to give me that exponent. Okay, so I'm going to give it exponent 3. Notice how the cursor is still up there. I don't want it up there anymore because I want it down. So I'm going to go down here. I can either use my keyboard, or I'm going to, right underneath functions, I'm going to push the right arrow. And that gets me down to the bottom here. So now I'm going to push plus x squared. So x squared is a little easier. I'm going to push the x, and now all I have to do is push the a squared button. And I don't even have to push the right key because that's something that's used way more often, so they made it a little easier. And then I'm going to push, for my function, I'm going to have minus 12x. So everybody should have this function that looks like this. Now, obviously, we can't see the whole function. So you're going to use one of your zoom tools. You're either going to use your toolbox, you're going to use your plus and minus, or you're going to grab it and move it. Now, grabbing it and moving it isn't going to work as well here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to keep zooming out until I can see the relative max and the relative min. Okay. So we have one function. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and add 2 more functions, okay? So there's the box right here on the left. We're going to click right below it, and that'll give you another box. I'm going to put another function in. You don't have to put the exact function I put in, but you can if you want. So y equals x, and I'm going to use that cube again so I can practice it. 3, so I use that a to the b, I put a 3 in, and then I'm going to use that right arrow. So I have a cubed, and then I'm just going to put plus x so I can get something a little bit different. And notice how this is purple, and I see my purple dot right there. I'm going to do one more function, click below, and this one I'm just going to practice the square. So I'm going to have y equals -3, and I'm going to do x squared. Okay, so there's my 3 functions. Now my functions up here are orange, purple, and black. Okay, so you might have different colored functions. Okay, now if you want to get rid of that little typewriter on the bottom, you just click on the screen and it gets rid of it. So I have 3 functions. I'm okay with the zoom that I'm in. I can zoom in a little bit more, but I'm going to lose some of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with it a little more. Maybe I don't like those colors. I mean, that's kind of a little Halloween-y. Maybe I'm not ready for Halloween. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and you see this little wheel right here? It says Edit List. We're going to click on that. When I click on that, I'm going to be able to touch the color right here, this orange color. When I touch it, I'm going to be able to change two things. I'm going to be able to change the style of it and the color of it. So I can change it to purple. I wouldn't want two purple ones. I could change it to black. I wouldn't want two black ones, so I could change it to green or red. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at red. Now the style that it's on right now, actually all three of them are on solid. I'm gonna go ahead and change this one to the middle dot, which is a dashed line. So right now I have two functions that are solid and one that is the dashed line. And the dashed line for me is red. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of my middle one. I'm going to make my middle one black. And then I'm going to make it dotted. So now my middle one's dotted. Now my last one, I'm going to change the color. So I'm practicing changing the color. I'm going to change my last one to green, and I'm going to keep him solid. Because my goal in this is to get 3 different colors, my functions to be 3 different colors and 3 different styles. So once you have the picture of 3 different colors, 3 different styles, you're ready to go and you're going to be finished. So you're going to click this blue square, which is done. There you go. Now, if we went back into that edit list, you see that delete all. Remember when I just went X, 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 and I just cleared it all out? I could have used that delete all before, but I didn't. I just was a little bit lazy. So now we're going to push done, and now I'm ready to save this masterpiece. Okay, so why would we save this? Well, one of the reasons is for homework, sometimes we're going to ask you to turn in a graph. And so this is how you would turn in a graph. So you can see up here where it says Untitled Graph in the left-hand corner. I want you to click on that Untitled Graph. We're going to title this Desmos Practice. Desmos Practice. Okay, so now we're going to save it. So now that I've saved this as Desmos Practice, it's there. And I can only do this if I've logged in. And you know you've logged in because your name's right here. And the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go get that link to share because we're going to have to submit that link. So in Desmos, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the right-hand side right next to your name, this little guy right here, and we're going to click on that and it says Share Graph, and it's going to give you a link. This is your link. You're going to copy that link. So you're going to click on Copy. So once you've copied that link, once you've clicked on copy that link, we're ready to submit that link. So we have a link that will display this for our teacher. Okay, so once you have that link in hand, you're going to go back to your Canvas. Okay, so you'll go back to your Canvas. Hold on one second. And your Canvas is right here. And so this is your Desmos activity submission. So in your assignment, you'll see something that says Submit Assignment. You're going to click on that. And down here where it says Website URL, you're going to click and then you're going to paste your URL. It's as easy as that. And then you click Submit and you are finished. You have completed this assignment. Great job. I hope this helps, and I hope you have a great day.